the world never expected it. That a dish once mocked as wrong by culinary purists would someday rise to the global stage and win against Italy as proudest creation. Sweet Filipino-style spaghetti. Ketchup-based, sugary, childlike. The kind of meal that made Italian chefs scoff. To them, it was a culinary crime. But to millions of Filipinos, it was home. The story begins in Rome, at the World Pasta Summit, the most prestigious competition in international gastronomy. Every year, elite chefs from around the globe gathered here, representing their nations in a battle not of weapons, but of sauce, texture, and taste. This was where Michelin stars were earned and culinary legends born. This year, the stakes were even higher. The theme, tradition versus innovation. And among the lineup of dignified Italian chefs and European culinary houses stood a quiet 27-year-old man from the Philippines, Rico De Guzman from Quezon City. He wasn't a celebrity chef. He wasn't even formally trained. He ran a small carinderia beside a jeepney terminal, Rico's Cucina, known for one thing, spaghetti so sweet it could make your teeth ache, yet make your heart melt. When Rico's name was first announced as a participant, social media had a field day. Filipino spaghetti? In Rome? Sweet ketchup pasta in the land of Bolognese? That's like bringing karaoke to the opera. Even the Italian hosts laughed politely when he presented his dish idea during the preliminary briefing. Sweet spaghetti? One of them repeated, smirking. You mean dessert? Rico smiled awkwardly, holding his ground. No, sir. This is how we celebrate birthdays, Christmas, family, everything that matters. This isn't just food, it's joy. He said it with such honesty that even the translators hesitated before relaying his words. The night before the competition, Rico sat alone in his tiny hotel room overlooking the cobblestone streets of Rome. He could hear laughter from tourists outside, the echo of music from a nearby trattoria, and the faint smell of tomato sauce wafting through his open window. He had spent the whole day sourcing ingredients, not the usual Italian staples, but Filipino alternatives he carried from home. Red hot dogs, banana ketchup, condensed milk, and a small jar of brown sugar. The customs officers almost confiscated them. He laid everything out on the table, not with the precision of a chef, but with the care of a son carrying memories. He whispered to himself, "Para kay nanay." His late mother had taught him that sweet spaghetti wasn't meant to impress, it was meant to comfort. Morning came. The World Pasta Arena buzzed with cameras, commentators, and the scent of garlic and olive oil thick in the air. The audience was filled with journalists, Michelin-starred chefs, and critics from France, Italy, and Japan. Rico stood among giants. To his left was Chef Lorenzo Bellini, a culinary legend known for his authentic Neapolitan sauce, simmered for 12 hours with imported San Marzano tomatoes. To his right was Chef Sofia Conti, a rising star from Milan whose carbonara was famous for its precision. When Rico placed his ingredients on his counter, banana ketchup, canned hot dogs, and cheddar cheese, cameras zoomed in, and the crowd erupted in laughter. The host couldn't help but chuckle. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems the Filipino contestant is making children's party spaghetti? Rico smiled faintly and nodded. Yes, sir. The kind that feeds everyone, even when there's barely enough. The timer started. Each chef moved like a symphony of technique, knives slicing basil, sauce simmering in perfect rhythm. Rico moved slower, but more deliberate. He didn't use olive oil. He used margarine. He didn't add fresh tomatoes. He poured in banana ketchup, its sweetness filling the air like caramel. The smell turned heads, not because it was elegant, but because it was different. It didn't smell like Rome. It smelled like home. As he mixed the noodles with the thick red sauce, he remembered his childhood. Christmas mornings when spaghetti meant happiness even when the gifts were few. Birthdays when his mother cooked this same dish using only 100 pesos worth of ingredients, stretching every strand of noodle so every kid could have some. He sliced the hot dogs, stirred in the condensed milk, and grated the cheese. He didn't care about Michelin stars or authenticity. He just wanted the world to taste what Filipino love felt like. Chef Bellini glanced at him, shaking his head. "This is madness," he muttered. But when the time was up, Rico plated it neatly. Not fancy, not minimalistic. just a humble plate of bright red spaghetti topped with melting cheese and small hot dog coins that looked like tiny medals of defiance. The judges approached. They began with Bellini, tasting his masterpiece of traditional sauce, slow-cooked perfection, the pride of Italy. Applause followed. Predictable. Safe. Then they turned to Rico. One of them, an elderly Italian culinary historian, raised an eyebrow. "What is this?" Rico smiled nervously. "It's spaghetti, Filipino style. Sweet, sir." The old man scoffed. "Spaghetti should not be sweet." Rico bowed slightly. "Maybe not in Italy, sir. But in the Philippines, we had no choice. Tomatoes were expensive, banana ketchup was cheap. We made do. And somehow it became something people loved." The room went silent. The judge took a small forkful, reluctantly. The first bite was confusion. The second was curiosity. The third was nostalgia, though they didn't know why. Because sweetness, as Rico believed, had a way of breaking through defenses. It reminded people of childhood, of mothers, of warmth. Another judge took a bite, then another. "This is..." She hesitated, searching for the right word. "Wrong, but beautiful." The audience chuckled. But it wasn't mockery this time. It was surprise. The next judge closed his eyes and smiled faintly. "It tastes like happiness," he said softly. And just like that, something shifted in the room. They moved on to other dishes, but the memory of that sweetness lingered. It clung to the tongue like a song you can't forget. After the tasting came deliberation. The finalists waited backstage, nerves tight. Rico didn't expect anything. He knew he had broken every rule. But then, the announcement came. Third place, Chef Sofia Conti, Italy. Second place, Chef Lorenzo Bellini, Italy. The crowd applauded. Cameras flashed. Then the host took a dramatic pause. And the winner of this year's World Pasta Summit, representing the Philippines. Gasps, murmurs, then cheers. Chef Rico De Guzman. Rico froze. He thought he misheard. But the stage lights focused on him. The crowd, once skeptical, now roared in applause. The same Italian judge who mocked him earlier shook his hand. "You broke every rule," he said. "And yet, you reminded us that food is supposed to make people feel, not just obey tradition." Reporters swarmed him. "Chef Rico, how does it feel to beat Italy at their own game?" He smiled, tears glistening. "It's not about beating anyone," he said softly. "It's about showing that even the poorest kitchen can create something worth loving." That night, the streets of Rome lit up with news reports. Headlines read, "Sweet Filipino Spaghetti wins world title, the taste that melted Rome." Italian chefs debated it fiercely. Some called it a travesty, others a revelation. But no one could deny the truth. The world had changed a little that day. Back in Quezon City, Rico's carinderia exploded with customers. Kids pointed at the TV showing his smiling face on international news. His mother's old recipe, once mocked as too sweet, now held a gold medal. Months later, restaurants across Europe started offering Filipino Sweet Spaghetti, the champion's recipe. Some tried to imitate it, but none could capture its soul. Because the secret wasn't the sugar or the ketchup. It was the story behind it. Rico returned home a hero, but he stayed humble. Every morning he still cooked the same way, stirring the sauce in his old aluminum pot, humming to himself as the smell of sweetness filled the air. One evening, a small boy approached him, carrying a plate. "Kuya Rico," he said shyly, "why is your spaghetti sweet?" Rico smiled, patting his head. "Because life is already full of bitterness, anak. This reminds us there's still something sweet left to share." And as the sun set over Quezon City and jeepneys rumbled by, that sweetness, born of struggle, resilience, and love, continued to spread far beyond the Philippines. Because sometimes, it is not the most authentic flavor that wins. It is the one that makes the world remember what it means to feel human. And on that day, Filipino Sweet Spaghetti did what no one thought possible. It didn't just defeat Italy. It redefined what victory tastes like.